Hey guys, this is Andrew Darlington with Veritas Risk Management. I wanted to talk to you today about certificates of insurance. A lot of y'all are getting a lot of subcontractors to give you certificates of insurance. And when I sit down and talk to my clients, we look through our certificates of insurance, we see what's going on. And a lot of times we're going to see stuff that there's just problems with them. And the certificate many times isn't even as good as the paper it's written on. And a lot of times it's even worse than that. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you what a certificate should look like, and then kind of walk through it so you'll know exactly what to do. So you'll know the top 5 things to look for when you're doing a certificate. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, so what we want to look at is this. Okay, here's a sample certificate of insurance here. The first thing you're going to look at is the insured. Make sure the contractor's name is correct. I've had a situation before where a general contractor got a certificate, and the certificate had the name of the company, and he wrote the certificate to the name of the person because they just changed the name. It was an act of Congress to get it fixed where he didn't get charged for it because the name on the check was different than the name on the certificate. So do check that. That's number 1. Number 2, on the liability, make sure these boxes are checked. Every box that I have here checked is what you want to see on a general liability and workers' comp certificate. What this is here is 1, the general liability coverage. That's helpful to know. Second of all, you want to make sure it's an occurrence-based policy. Rarely do you see anything else, but that is important because if they use a claims-made policy and the policy cancels, you may not have any coverage for that sub and you may be stuck. We're going to skip over here. Make sure they've got $1 million of coverage. There's a lot of insurance companies that say, if you have less than $1 million of coverage, we're not even going to count the certificate of insurance for liability purposes, and you're going to get charged on those for audit. So make sure you've got $1 million here. Under this one here, make sure there's $1 million. And then under these two, make sure there's $2 million. Okay. Lastly, a lot of contractors, we're seeing the bigger general contractors, they're actually requiring this box to be checked where it says per project. That means that at each project that the subcontractor has a job, he gets his limits, his general aggregate limits. They're $2 million. So he's going to get $1 million per occurrence, $2 million aggregate at each project. General contractors like that because if they've got a sub that's working for them, they're doing 150 different jobs and they have some claims. They don't want this $1 million to be pulled down on their limits. They want to have $1 million at the job that they're working on. A lot of insurance companies will throw that in for free or for a very nominal charge. So if you want to make that part of your requirements for your subs, I highly recommend it. Otherwise, just make sure this box is checked. The other thing is this hired and non-owned auto liability. On the automobile liability, you want that. It can say any auto here. It can say all owned autos or scheduled autos. But if it doesn't say any auto, make sure they do have the hired and non-owned auto included. And that's important too. That's if one of their people goes out and is driving their own truck and has a wreck. A lot of times you as a GC are going to get sued. So that's to protect you in that situation. We want $1 million of coverage here, again, to make sure that you're protected. Number 3, the thing to look at is additional insured. Make sure that you are named as an additional insured under their policy. The thing about this is that if you have a certificate of insurance and they do something to get you sued, let's say they're an electrician, and they accidentally wired the house wrong and the house burns down and kills 3 people. If they give you a certificate, but this is not checked, the only thing that is happening is that they have coverage. It's not doing you a lick of good. Okay. It may help reduce the damages that you get sued for, but it's not going to protect you. It's not going to do anything. If you're named as an additional insured and the electrician burns the house down and the electrician gets sued and you get sued, this additional insured status will give you limits under their policy to defend you and to pay any judgments against you up to the limits. So that's the reason you want this thing checked. If this is not checked, this certificate, the only thing it's doing is keeping you from paying premium. It's not really going to do you any good in the event of a claim. So that's the third thing to look for. Number 4, waivers of subrogation. You want that listed here on the general liability, here on the auto, and if possible on the workers' comp. In the state of Tennessee, it's changed here last year, and there's a little bit more higher charge for that. Most companies are charging a minimum of $250 for that. But what that is this, is if you're on the job site and you cause someone to get injured, and in the situation workers' comp, you drop your hammer on the electrician. If this is checked where the waiver of subrogation, the electrician's workers' comp company, after paying the claim, cannot come back and sue you. And so that just, again, gives you an extra layer of protection there. That's where there's a little bit of charge there. On the liability, if you do something that gets them sued and their insurance company has to pay a claim, the waiver of subrogation protects them from coming back and suing you. It's very common. We see this on most of the larger general contractors. And I would say the better general contractors are asking for these two things. They know that they would need to be protected in the event of a claim, and so they're doing the wise thing. So make sure that's there. On the workers' comp, it's great if you can get it. Sometimes if it's a small subcontractor, they're only paying a couple $100 a year in insurance, they're not going to want to spend another $250 for that. But this one, a lot of times this just gets thrown in for $25, $50, maybe $100 a year. It's a pretty easy one. Okay. Number 5, on your subcontractor, you need to know if this box is checked or not. Okay. This inbox, it says any proprietor, partner, executive officer, or member excluded. We want that to be an N. If there's a Y there, that means that you've got someone that's excluded under workers' comp. And that's very important because in the state of Tennessee, what you just allowed them to do is sue you under tort. And we have a whole nother video that talks about why that is so important. And if you'll click on the bottom of the screen, there's a link to that other video that you'll see. So make sure that says yes, or if it says no, know what you're getting into in that situation. But you need to check on that. The other thing you want to see is per statute there, which they should have. And then you're going to have at least 100,000 per accident, 100,000 per each employee for disease, and 500,000 total. That's pretty standard. Sometimes you'll see more. Now, the last thing, you want your name here. You need to be named as certificate holder. And this also says who the additional insured is. You want that listed there. Okay. Now, this is your bonus. Make sure they're using the actual correct accord form. If you notice, this accord form was done in 2014. I saw one today that a subcontractor gave a general contractor that was one dated in 2011, and it's not even any good anymore. The Accord Corporation that does these and has a copyright on these actually said you're not allowed to use them. So insurance agent is actually using those out of copyright illegally. But it has some wording on the certificate that's not allowed anymore. Best practices say that you actually should get, 1, a copy of the additional insured endorsement when you get the certificate, a copy of the subrogation waiver endorsement. Okay. And then the other thing is, if they're working in a state, if the insured's address and state is different from the project from the location in which you're working, or the location of where your home office is, you need to make sure that you get a copy of the declarations page on the workers' comp, and the state that you're in and the state that they're working in is listed in Part A. And I know it's a lot of detail. Again, if you'll click on the link, you'll see a link for that. I have another video on that and why that's important and how you can check that out. But so many times we see people that get certificates, the certificate ain't even filled out correctly. You don't know, it's not the right form. They don't have the coverages needed. And a lot of times we'll see no additional insured status and no waiver of subrogation. You need to make sure that they have this. One, it's to protect yourself from paying additional premium. But two, if you have a claim, you're going to want to have this, because if you don't, you're going to be in deep trouble, and you're going to wonder why on God's green earth you ever got a certificate when it's not doing you any good. I'm Andrew Darlington with Veritas Risk Management. Give us a call. We'd love to review your certificates for you. If you'd like a copy of a form that you can give to your subcontractors that has what is needed, you can say, hey, I want the certificate you send to me to look exactly like this, that they can give to their insurance agent. Shoot us an email, call us, shoot me a text message, find me on Facebook or Google or wherever, and just let us know, and we'll be happy to send that right on over to you. And you're welcome to use that all you want. Hopefully it'll keep you safe. Again, Andrew Darlington, Veritas Risk Management. Our phone number is 423-292-4142. And our website is www.veritasrm.com. We look forward to talking to you soon, and be safe.